Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Rip Off and Duplicate podcast. I am your host, Kalhiel Dillard. Today, I'm joined by Adler Goode. Adler is a door-to-door sales expert, real estate investor, entrepreneur. Today, he's going to share with us a little bit about his journey in the solar industry and the impact sales has had on his life and how he's continuing to grow personally while accomplishing so much. I'm a former athlete, small business owner, and serial entrepreneur. The goal of the podcast is to inform and inspire entrepreneurs who are looking to get started but don't know how. Each week, I am going to highlight ordinary people in our communities who do extraordinary things. Adler, tell us a little bit about yourself.
What up, Fresno? Hey, can we, can y'all make my voice deeper on here? No, I'm just kidding. I have a high voice. Well, where to start? So...
Where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from South Georgia, Albany, Georgia, small town, and then moved to Springdale, Arkansas in junior high, and went to high school and college out there.
Southern boy in California. Yeah. Remind me a little bit myself.
And then moved to Fresno, moved to the 559 like 4 years ago. And here we are. So a little bit about Adler before we jump in. I've known Adler for about 3-4 years now, since he got to Fresno a little bit after. This is one of my boys. I'm excited to share all the information and knowledge that Adler has with my audience, with my friend group, because ever since I've met him, he's absolutely killed it. But I just wanted to share a quick story about how much he's accomplished in such a quick amount of time. So, Adler, on February 19th, 2019, you posted on Instagram. Oh, yeah.
Moving across the country to take a 100% commission-based job. Doesn't sound so crazy.
I should make my Instagram private. Huh?
And that was your first sale and that was on February 19th, 2019, your first sale here in Fresno. By the end of December 2019, you had bought a Tesla. By February of the next year, you were promoted to district manager, and by July of 2021, you were ranked the #1 sales rep in the largest solar company in America, with over 375 installs in the last 3 years. That's quite the fucking journey for the kid from fucking Arkansas, man.
You're gonna make me blush, man. It's been a ride. Sometimes I'm like, I can't believe that it's happened and where we're at, and like I'm like, why am I in Fresno some days? So it's been it went so fast, but I felt like I've been doing it for like 20 years at this point. Because if anyone's ever knocked doors, it can be a very stressful and emotional. It's tough knocking. There's a reason why a lot of people don't do it, like going door to door, going to someone else's house to sell them a solar system, So, but yeah, I mean, that's crazy, those highlights. So
how many doors do you think you've knocked in the last 3 years?
Thousands? There's too many. Yeah. I mean, when I first moved out here, the first 6 months, so Castle, who's my boss now, but he was the only guy I knew out here. So
hear a lot of great things about Castle. Yeah. I don't think we've officially met, but the amount that I see you post about him, I can tell that he's somebody that you care about.
He's my favorite bald person.
Oh, really? Sure. Yeah, he's got the Michael Jordan going on.
Yeah, he's my favorite bald. Maybe Joe Rogan. I like Joe Rogan more than Castle, but So, my first 6 months in it, I'd never done sales before. Well, actually, I worked at Enterprise, and I was a salesman there, and I actually got fired for being the worst one.
Really? You got fired for being a bad salesman? Enterprise is known for having good salesmen. They couldn't make a good salesman out of you?
My heart went in it, man.
Okay.
Couldn't commit. So, the first 6 months out here, all I did was, knock on doors and take down notes of, what didn't work, what did work, what kind of personality types you run into out there, and then just, reading a ton of sales books and, listening to a bunch of podcasts, and then honestly, the system, because the guys who have done it before me, just listening to them and picking their brains, you've got guys who've, changed their generations from knocking doors, with my bosses. And so when those guys were talking, just listening, writing down, trying to grab any notes I could, any nuggets from them that I could. But yeah.
What do you think, with experiencing so much growth and in such a quick amount of time, what's keeping you motivated? Or when you moved from Arkansas and you hopped off that plane, like what kept you motivated to go knock all those doors so quickly?
Well, I actually drove my Altima.
Oh, you drove out here? I
drove out here, yeah. So I drove from Alabama. My parents had moved to Alabama after I got done with school.
Shout out Alabama?
Yeah, kind of. I don't really like Alabama.
What city were they in?
Jackson, Alabama.
Okay. Yeah. Shout out Mobile, shout out Birmingham. Got a lot of family there. Spent a lot of time there.
There you go. Yeah, so Jackson's super small city. So hopped in my car, drove across the country, and like it's like almost all hell broke loose while I was trying to get out here. Just won't have to go into the details of it, but basically it's like any problem you could run to while driving across the country, like it happened. I actually had to borrow money from Castle to get out here. So I had to get like a business loan, my first business loan, to get out here. And then when I got out to Fresno, Castle wasn't even here. He was on vacation with his family in Cancun or something like that. I don't know. And so I had to get an Airbnb, and I found one in North Fresno for like $20 a night, and like just sleeping on some bed for like a week or whatever. And then I ended up selling the guy solar, which, shout out Peter, still here. But I mean, I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have any distractions. Like I didn't know a single person here besides Castle. And so, and Spencer's here. If you're watching this, shout out Spencer. It was just us three against the world out here trying to figure it out. There's like 10 people in the office. And then, looking at today, there's over 200 sales reps in it.
Really?
Yeah.
And you've seen it all come to fruition from the beginning until now.
Yeah.
How'd you get introduced to Castle? Because I know that's a big reason why you're here. Where'd that relationship begin?
For sure. So his little brother, Catlin, me and him played football together in college.
Okay, nice.
So he was a fullback, and then I played receiver, and we used to hang out, and then we lived together for a little bit. So, but we're all growing up. He actually just got married this 2 weekends ago.
Awesome. So, congratulations, man.
Shout out Catlin.
Have you always been a go-getter or someone who's always had big goals?
I would say a little bit. Like I remember when I was little, like I was the guy in like your elementary school, like trying to trade for candy and like trade pencils and pens. And then in Arkansas, when it snowed, I'd go knock on the doors to like try and shovel to make money. I remember one time, like I knocked on this huge driveway, and I got played by this old man. I hope he feels good about this. But he convinced me $20. I mean, this driveway was huge. 3 buses on this thing. So I'm like out there shoveling for $20 all day. Then I didn't finish that day, and I'm probably like 11 or 12. I mean, probably 14. So my dad had to come and help me finish it. So, but he let me keep the $20.
I hope he taught you a good lesson on negotiation.
Yeah, for sure. Don't start with $5, no matter what. No matter what you're selling, never start with $5, guys. That's any tip I can tell you. So,
just coming out here, just made it to California. Your second sales job after being fired by your first one, how did you know, or when did you know that you were good at sales, that you had what it took to succeed in the solar industry? Because solar ain't tough. Like knocking door-to-door sales is not tough.
Yeah, not tough.
It's not easy. Solid, not tough.
No, you're good.
Door-to-door sales is one of the toughest things out. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I was like, my mindset, honestly, coming out here, I was like, I bet I can find one person a month. I'm like, if I can find one person a month, I can start this snowball effect, to build on something. And then like my first week, I'm like, dude, there's got to be like someone who will listen to me. And so they give you like the pitch and stuff. And I'm like, well, I feel like I'm a funny person. Like I'm just going to bank on my personality, which did not work. So I tried to like recreate the wheel when I first started, and then got humbled very quick, and then just kind of stuck to the basics and the fundamentals. But like my goal was to find one person a month and to make sure it's a good account to get installed. So it takes like a month or two to get the install and get paid for it. So
let's take a moment and walk us through some of the basics for somebody who is just entering sales or door-to-door sales. Like what's step one? What are some of the basics so they don't have to go and recreate the wheel?
Yeah. So step one is like, if you're because I just see like when I hire people now from other sales jobs that come in, it's like, forget everything Like it's almost like the more you don't care, the better when it comes to like dealing with the solar customer. And then like step 2 is to like attach your wagon to someone who's a little bit better than you and pick their brain and like annoy them and like, just annoy them to find out like all the tricks and any nuggets you can do. And then from there on, it's like the hustle muscle. Like you just got to go and like pitch your head on the concrete and keep hitting your head up against it until something breaks. Which is like a very, very redneck analogy. It's like, but basically you just run and hit the brick wall until it breaks and you figure it out.
Absolutely.
Like trial by error. So, but the hustle muscle, that's the thing we say in solar. It's like, you can like talk about it and like do all this stuff and buy leads and do all the crap, right? But it's like, at some point you've got to go and like knock the doors. So it's like, well, it's either I can talk about it or it's like, hey, today I'm going to go and find out like, if I can face rejection, because the job you sign up for rejection, so, which is kind of like a weird concept, but you literally knock on doors. You shouldn't expect to get told no.
Well, what's a way for someone who may not have a strong sense of hustle muscle? They have no hustle muscle at all. How can they exercise that hustle to get some muscle?
For sure, starting with like a small goal. Like you just got to dangle like little carrots in front of yourself, because like when it comes to like a sales job, like most of them is you're your own manager. Like you have to be able to manage yourself before you can like manage other people. And if you're not able to like motivate yourself or get yourself out to do like the hard things, you've got to figure out a way to do that. So like for me, like when I first started, like whether it was like, I'm going to buy a pair of shoes or like get a different iPad, whatever, get some Lulu shorts or whatever it is. But it's like, you just start small. Like, you don't eat an elephant in one bite, just little bites at a time. Have good day, like stack good days on top of each other and then stack good weeks. Just turn the months, quarters, and then years. So
Absolutely.
You just like micro it down and look at like a very small daily task versus like looking at like, I want to conquer the world, and you're stressed out and stuff. So.
Absolutely. And I can attest to that. I remember back when I was here in Fresno a little bit more, you and I would be going out, but always if I caught you between, I'm pretty sure if it was like 11 and 4, it was always, hey man, I'm out knocking doors right now. I'll call you when I get back. But you always had that time set aside to do the things that you knew you were supposed to do, hence the why you have the amount of installs you do is because every day you approach it like it is a business. This is your business,
right? Yeah, the probably the worst part about our job is we can't make any money until other people are off of their job at home. So like the prime times are from 4 to 7 p.m., which is like everyone else is off work. They're like doing stuff like, especially you guys like, hey, we're going to go do this and that or whatever. I'm like, all right, well, I'll be there at 8 or whatever. So like whenever the sun's out or whenever it's like dusk, that's the best time to go. And so you just got to capitalize on those times when everyone's home.
But what's been the value and impact on your life as, a guy that's living here on his own, giving up that time, that freedom, nights out with your friends, parties? What's been the impact of doing that? You still have fun, but how has that ultimately affected your business and your growth?
Yeah, for sure. It comes down to like your priorities, like how do you rank them? Like for me, it's like, I like to go out and like have a good time, but it's like I can either like do that or I can go and work and like set myself up, whether it's like the next day or anything like that. But one of the things that I think I've like kind of like caught quick was like how to rank things that are like are good for me and then bad for me, and like which ones I'm going to do in that order. Like for me, I would rather do like, I just don't want to skip a day of work because I know it's going to set me back another day personally.
Break down the priorities that you currently have in place in your life, whether it's the gym, work, like break them down for us so we
number
can see
one's
what that
work.
like.
So I read a book to focus on 3 things and then obsess over those. So
what book was it?
Outliers.
Oh, okay, by Malcolm Gladwell.
Probably
10,000 hours. Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. Read that actually. That was a really great book.
Yeah.
He has the 10,000 hour rule. Is if you put in 10,000 hours of work, you will become an expert at that. I fully believe it.
So I like my number one priority is like work for sure. It's like I didn't move from Arkansas to Fresno to dick off, you know what I mean, to go and I don't know, whatever you do in Fresno, right? So for sure work, and then like I've had number 2 and 3 change like multiple times, but like church has always been like religion's always been like a big thing for me. But like fluctuating, which you never should fluctuate religion, but I'll be honest, like number 2, like I'm trying to get back into the gym and stuff like that, and then working on like my relationships. Nice. So with like friends, family, stuff like that.
Now you guys have a great culture over at Vivint, man. Like I know a lot of friends.
So Sunrun bought Vivint now.
Okay, so over at Sunrun. So
RIP Orange though, if you're listening.
Yeah.
VSLR.
How many buddies of mine that that you've impacted that live here in Fresno that are now out selling solar and killing it?
For sure.
Yeah, like I think that's awesome because some of these people are completely coming out of their shell. Like one, Kaylee, I know she's selling solar. Yeah, doing pretty good at that.
And then the biggest is Bennett, of course.
Oh yeah, Bennett.
Bennett's one of the top guys in the company now.
Yeah, really. That's awesome.
That I met at a house party. So like I met Bennett at a house party. Now he's one of the top guys in the company, one of the top managers. Bennett, the largest residential solar company in America.
Bennett, for a lot of people that are listening, Bennett's last name is Guile, or is it Gil? Pronounce one of them. Pronounce one of them.
Yeah.
Bennett, we
love you, Bennett.
Yeah, we're showing you some love, man, because you work really hard. I've seen some great growth coming out of that, and I think it's important for hard workers and go-getters to acknowledge each other, to give people their flowers, to let them know that they're appreciated. So keep going with that.
For sure.
But what's been the impact you as a leader? I figure you've always been one of those guys who've probably been a leader in sports because you just have that energy. What's that impact? What's that feel like, being able to have that impact on other people's lives who may have not had that before?
I mean, it's like, and you can kind of like spin this question like 1,000 ways, but it's like, no one would have given me the chance, then like, I'd be in Arkansas with some overalls on and some hay in my teeth. I'm just kidding. But, God knows what I'd be doing. So it's like anytime I meet someone that's like sharp or whatever, I'm like, dude, let's give it a whirl and see what's going on. So, I mean, I don't want to take credit for any of like Bennett's success or anything, or any other people that like I've brought out from Arkansas. Just like, we just pay it forward. It's like a thing I learned when I first started here. It's like just pay it forward, like, because like we're all just like lucky to stumble across this opportunity. So like, yeah.
Absolutely. What's been the biggest obstacle that you've had to overcome since coming here alone, starting a new career? Like, what's been the biggest challenge you've had?
Probably like getting out here was like, that one was pretty tough, because like, if you're like living in a small town in Arkansas and I'm like, I'm going to knock doors in California. Like, I remember like some guy at the business school I was at, he's like the president or the dean. He's like, oh, that's a scam and it's so expensive to live there, and like yada, yada, yada. You hear all this stuff. And like just people like older guys, like my dad's friends or just other people were just like, man, you need to go and do this and do that and do that. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go do it. Like, screw everyone.
What are those guys telling you now?
I mean, obviously, like one of the guys who told me not to do it, he's actually a realtor. He's like even though he's, way older than me, like he's one of my like really good friends. And like, that's who I like buy my rental homes from in Arkansas. So glad I didn't listen to him. But like now I do listen to him and like a lot of things. But he was just like looking out for me and stuff. Absolutely. But getting out here was tough. Like my family was going through some stuff. Like my mom was sick at the time. Like and just other stuff was happening. And then once I got out here, it was just like, all right, well, I'm here. Like I had no choice. Like I didn't even have a ship to burn, to burn the ships. I had like a raft. So like popped a hole in the raft and I'm like, all right, let's figure it out. So
sink or swim at that point.
Yeah, sink or swim. But I've gotten my own way a lot whenever it came to like when I did get some success in solar. That probably cost me like some time, whether it's like looking at other opportunities, like with other solar companies, or just like being a 22 or 23-year-old idiot. We've all been there. Like, just
been there.
Yeah, getting in my own way, like, for sure has been like a thing that I like. I'm trying to like, you still have to work with and check yourself. And
how do you check yourself? Like what do those moments look like of balance? For a young adult who's making it may seem like everything's good. How do you continue to place those checks and balances in place?
Yeah.
So you can not only
never believe the hype.
Your own life.
So never believe the hype, like, or listen to like the outside noise, because there's always someone in your ear that's like doing something or like trying to sway you away from crap like that. And it's like the stuff that got you to where you are, like never forget that part. Mm-hmm. And then like just keep like focusing on that part, and then like trying to find like something small you can get better at when it comes to those things. And then just being like super grateful for like everything that's happened. And then like being grateful and don't believe the hype of like whatever it is, because like there's always someone, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so. Absolutely. How are you continuing to form better habits as you're progressing through your solar career?
Yeah, I mean, there's always someone like gunning for your spot, mm-hmm. like in the sales job, there's always someone like trying to beat you and everything. Like I actually have a guy beating me now for this year for the top.
Where's he from?
He's in Boston.
Really? How's that make you feel that he's beating you?
I mean, he's my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, his name's Bruno. Shout out Bruno. But he's kicking my butt this year, so got to go back to the drawing. Because he's your friend, does that make it harder to have competition with him? Or how do you address that competition from a friendly standpoint? I mean, it's not like, me and him we're boys. Mm-hmm. Like, we're cool, and it's like a very mutual respect, because it's like me and him are up by whatever, and then there's a lot of other people who are gunning for it too. I mean, it's competition is the best thing for you to like keep going. And so like having to chase him or him having to chase me, or having guys like Bennett and like Corey and like other people, or even Weiler, who's been in the game for a while, like just everyone's at the top. And so whenever on those days you're just like, oh my gosh, it's 105 here in Fresno or 110, and I've had a cancel, someone missed a roof check, Sunrun said I can't install this, and then 4 doors slammed in my face. I'm like, all right, well, like, let's keep going, So it's good. And like we always hang out probably like once or twice a year on like the company stuff, and it's always cool to pick their brains and stuff. I mean, there's absolute studs. I'm glad to even have my name mentioned in them. So
does competing get easier or harder once you're at that level of competition?
Way harder
when you're at the top?
Yeah.
It does.
People are throwing stuff at you from the top, talking trash and saying, I'm gonna get you this quarter, man. And like we've got a new guy in the office named Chris Chaw, and even like Quinn, Oscar, Colton. Like, I mean, we just have studs that are just coming, and it's good. It's like a time, like everyone has their time, you get to wear the crown, and then, there's always someone better. Just enjoy that. Just enjoying the time while I have it. So
absolutely. And how do you continue to show like care and support for your boys as they're growing? Maybe you're not experiencing as much success at the time. Like I know it means a lot for you to still be supportive of them. I know that's what kind of person you are. But as a leader, how do you recognize when maybe you're not performing, so you need to perform a different way in order to have the impact that you still have?
What do you mean?
So what I mean by that is when you're not performing well, how do you continue to show up for your team who may be competing better than you at that time?
I always say like a quote, I'm like, I asked for the position, like I asked to be here. I signed up for the job, I begged for the job. So like, I'm not going to get here and shit the bed on the job. You know what I mean? It's like, you almost have to like come to the point in your head where it's like, hey, like I don't have a choice. Like I'm here, this is my job. I'm a grown man. I've got bills to pay and things to do. So like, wake up, be a grown man, show up to the job. Like when people start believing like the hype, even it's like start feeling sorry for themselves, the woe is me or whatever, like of like being busy or you're having a bad week or whatever it is. It's like, tighten up the boots and strap it up and let's roll. So, but like having the accountability of like with Castle and like other top guys in the industry, they're going through the same stuff that you're going through. And so like just doing a quick call and like maybe doing a vent, or I call my mom like once a day, probably every other day for sure. and just like, oh my gosh, Mom. And she has no idea what any of it means. But I'm like, I had this. And she's like, okay, like, are you done whining? Yeah, like, it's like, quit being a baby, you know? So, which I think a lot of that comes from my parents. They're pretty, you know, they're like two of the hardest working people I know. And so it's a no excuse, you know, mentality for sure.
Let's talk about your family for a little bit. Do you have any siblings, or what did growing up look like for you?
Yeah, so I've got 2 older sisters. Asley.
Are they 6 foot tall too?
No, they're tall though. I don't know how, they're 5'7" or 8, whatever.
If you can't tell, Adler's like 6 foot. I don't want to say 6'4". He might be 6'5". Get mad at me for saying 6'4". Adler's
I'm
a big
definitely
guy.
not 6'4" for sure. I have tall shoes on today. But yeah, I've got Asley, Avery, and then myself, Adler, and then I've got a little brother, Anson, and then my dad. He's a Southern Baptist preacher. And then Andy, and then my mother, Patty. So
I don't know if you ever do this about me, but my grandfather was a big like Southern Baptist
really?
Pentecostal preacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So back in Alabama, Ohio. So back
I wonder if they know each other. No,
my grandpa, he unfortunately died back in the day. I didn't know him. I didn't know. But he was really involved in like the civil rights and stuff like that.
Cool.
So
yeah, that was big back there.
Yeah, having that to look up to. I know faith has always been a big role in my family dynamics, I would say.
Yeah, but growing up with like our, you know, it's 4 kids. We're all pretty like similar in age. I think 9 years separates the top to the bottom. And then sports, like we're always in sports growing up for sure. And then, you know, the biggest thing I remember is probably we would drive from Arkansas to Georgia with a dog and a cat, like during Christmas and stuff like that, and like a Nissan Pathfinder, like a 5-seater, and there's 6 of us or whatever it was. Yeah, those are some trips I'll never forget. But yeah, I mean, competitive. All my siblings were good at sports. Yeah. My little brother won state in track. Avery, she did something with soccer or track, one of the two, and then Asley played volleyball. So we're a big sports family for sure.
Nice. What's the impact that sales has played in your life? I know you own a few rentals. I believe 8 or 9 rentals.
Yeah. So yeah, somewhere around there. Well, my personal house is probably listed in that number too. But yeah, I mean, with sports, you've got to have like a quick memory, and then like playing high school or even college, like you've got to be able to take like correction, and take like correction, rejection, like, I mean, you just get developed for like the real world, like super quick. Because if you mess up, you've got someone screaming at you, and you've got to like, are you going to like fold and like cry and tell your parents or whatever? Or it's like, are you going to like take the instruction and like listen? So you learn quick and you like correct fast. Like playing sports, and then like everything you do is filmed. Like right now, like you can't hide, the eye in the sky never lies, what we always say in football. So if you're taking a play off, you know, like you're gonna get your ass chewed like after practice or whatever it was. And my high school, shout out Shiloh Christian, Arkansas. No one from there is gonna watch this. I don't know why I said that, but still, like they're a big football school. Like they develop you a ton to get ready for college. And then when you get to college, you know, it's like you eat, sleep, drink, football.
And you're already prepared for that.
Yeah, for sure. Like I walked in there, like I've already done film. I've already done post-practice film when other people like hadn't been ready for that. So I like appreciate my high school a ton. And like I'm able to take like really hard coaching from people. And then you get in college, you know, they're talking about your mama and talking about all kinds of crazy stuff, like the coaches. I'm like, is he allowed to say that? So, but you know, you get tough from it, and like you get really thick skin. Yep. So like now when someone like yells at me on the door, like, get a real job and get on some longer shorts, you weirdo. I'm like just like, all right, whatever. And having like a quick memory, even from like if you mess up in a play and it's like a game, it's like, dude, you can't sit and think about that for the rest of the game, or you're gonna have a terrible game. So having a quick memory for sure, even when you do something good or bad, until the game's over, until the day's done.
Yeah, I feel like I can definitely relate to that with everything that I've done in my sales career. I feel like the base of that is, you know, from how I was prepared at my high school. I went to a really competitive high school in Modesto, Central Central Catholic High School.
We had a wax jaw.
Hell no. We were very competitive. We won 3 consecutive state championships in high school, but I really believe what prepared us was the preparation and practice from coaches. Like, I got to college and there was guys that never watched film before, and I was like, dude, this guy's not gonna play. He doesn't. He can't remember the playbook. So, along with, you know, all the tough coaches that I had and getting disciplined from sports at an early age, I really feel like more sales professionals need to lean into that feeling of coaching, and know that it's okay to receive coaching and it's okay to give coaching as well. You know, be what you didn't have or what you want to other people as well. Which,
I don't know if this is something like my personality, but I feel like just the random person will give me coaching. They're like, hey, I don't like that shirt. I'm like, who is it? Like, you know, I don't know if it's too nice or something, but like, for the coaching, like, just thinking of that, like, I feel like I always have people coaching me on like stuff to do, which I'm like, well, I'll take the advice, you know. So, but
and being a door-to-door salesman, like, how do you overcome rejection?
Like, I just kind of make it part of the plan. Like, I just like, it's like if you, I mean, I just make it part of the plan. Like, I'm expecting a couple people to say no, and I'm expecting a couple bad things to happen along the way. So, like, when I'm planning for my goals for like the week or the quarter or the year, whatever it is, I'm like, well, if I'm going to sign up, you know, 10 people, I've got to assume that it doesn't work out for a couple of them. And so when that happens in my head, I'm like, oh, this is the one I was worried about. And so, like, just making failure and rejection just part of it, because it's life. And it's actually good for you to do all that stuff, because that means you're shooting high, and just be able to bounce back. Like, one of the things I was like, going back to the drawing board, it's like such a sports analogy, but it's, you know, hey, what happened here? Like, I took notes over it, or I recorded myself on the pitching. Okay, I messed up. Well, let's try this. And then the cool thing about door to door is, like, versus another sales job, if you're selling cars and you have 3 people walk in that day, you have 3 opportunities to close. With this, it's up to me. Like, if I want to go knock 1,000 doors, I can. If I want to knock 1 door, I can. So, you know, I'm able to control the volume at what I like and the speed of how I want, you know, of the numbers that I'm chasing.
Do you guys have like knocking competitions? Who can knock the most doors?
Sales competition, like, so who can sign up the most homeowners and stuff like that. Yeah, so we have 4 big ones every year. So we have a 4-on-4 tournament, a 1-on-1 tournament, and then a team. Oh, so 3, and then a team tournament every year. And so those get in it. They're throughout the entire company. So 2 years ago is when I won the 1-on-1. And then this year, the 4-on-4. So, and Castle was on that team as well. John Bunch was too. Oscar, shout out those guys.
So, you've done some pretty cool things, man. Like, I enjoy seeing it. I enjoy watching the fruits of your labor pay off. So, like, talk to us a little bit about some of the experiences that you recently had. Like, what's one of the trips you just went on?
So before I started this job, like, I really had never traveled except for football games, which those trips suck anyway. But like, I've gone to Hawaii 3 times on the company's dime. Utah,
didn't pay for it, none of it.
I mean, like the flights and hotel. No, I didn't pay for it. Switzerland was like an all-inclusive trip.
Yeah, that looked dope.
We have a Tahiti one coming up, a Costa Rica one. I mean, I'll just by doing my job, I'll be able to travel, you know, majority of the world. Germany, which was on the way to Switzerland, so that doesn't really count. But I mean, I traveled all over the place for it, and like the experience, like going to like. We went to a finals game when Steph Curry hit 6 threes in a row. Like, I mean, that was insane. And then there's been some other like cool ones, just like a ton of sporting events. And then we're going to the Formula One. Right?
Oh yeah,
the 22nd.
Is that in Vegas?
Austin.
Oh, okay, cool.
Good old Texas.
Which, be clean.
Being from Arkansas, we don't
Austin's a great place.
We don't vibe with Texas, but you know, it is what it is. The experience have been insane. Just like all the sporting events. And
are there opportunities like that for even new people who sign up as well?
Yeah. So when you first sign up, you've got an opportunity. Or I mean, when you first like get the job and start, like you start chasing incentives from the first day. Like within your first 60 days, you have a trip to earn a trip you have a chance to earn a trip to Mexico, an all-inclusive thing. And then, I mean, there's just, each office is different, but they drop incentives all the time for places to go. Like we have one for Vegas and Costa Rica going at the same time.
So what are the benefits of working what are the pros and cons of working a fully commission-based job?
Oh, great question. So it's like farming, which is kind of like, my grandpa's a farmer, and then like a lot of the really good people in the industry come from farming. Like if you don't go and like, which I'm not a farmer, so I could get this analogy wrong, but like your field, right? You've got to go and like prep the land. Do you know anything about farming?
Yeah.
Like lay the seed down, and you've got to like wait for the harvest. So if I go and sell an account this week, and then next week I take the week off, and 4 or 5 weeks from now, I'm not going to get paid because I didn't work that week. So the benefits of it is, one, I can control like how much money I make. So like I always say like, hey, I'm going to go give myself a raise today. Like just little mental things to get me going.
Like that.
Because I can control like what I want to make, because there's literally like, I only get paid if I sell. Like there is no, you know.
Did you always have that belief that you can control like what you make?
Well, it's just when I graduated college, I'm like, dude, I just put in 4 years in the salary that like I offered. I'm like, bro, I could have just been, I mean, I could make money doing something else. I'm like, why did I go to school for it? So I was like, well, I want to get into something sales. And then this one was 100% commission. I'm like, all right, well, I mean, I literally have nothing to lose. So I am at rock bottom. So let's figure it out. But yeah, I mean, the pros of it is the pros, and then the cons is like they're really good pros and they're really bad cons. And like the industry itself, there's people who like make money, and then there's people who make zero money. It's all like, and this scares people, but it's like, it's on you. Like, you know, if you get sick or if you get something like that, you don't have to, like, you're not going to make money. But when like, it's almost like seasonal, like when the spring, Tony Robbins talks about this time, when the getting's good, like you got to get it. And then like when winter comes, Game of Thrones reference, but when winter comes, like you've got to have enough saved up to last through the winter.
What would you tell that salesperson who just isn't getting it right now? He thinks that there's nothing that he can do to get out of this slump, to get out of this rut. Like, what would you tell him if he's just knocking doors, nothing's happening for him? Like, what would be the advice you'd give him? Him or her?
Him or her. I would be, for one, like, record your pitch and let me hear it, because you're saying something weird and you're not being normal when you talk to the customer. You're in like this like weird sales voice and being robotic or whatever it is. And from there on, like you gotta like if the quote of, if you're gonna chop down a tree in 6 hours, like you're gonna use 4 to like sharpen your axe. So you can go knock on, you know, this neighborhood that we're in, and hey, I'm Danny with, you know, whatever, and do a crappy pitch. You're not going to get any, like, if you haven't put the time in to prepare, you're going to fail. So like, for one, you've got to like study, you've got to know it, like to where, because it's game day when I'm talking with the customer, and if they ask me a question and if I pause or if I don't know it, like the trust is gone. Right? Or if you like are a liar or a cheater or whatever, and it's like the customer asking you like are lying and they sniff the BS, like it's a wrap, you know? So you got to be prepared for sure. So I would like seek out the person and like find out what they're saying, or go shadow them, go watch them. And then from there, see if we could tweak anything. And then, but the reality is sometimes the job's not for everyone. But I mean, I would just stick to the fundamentals of it, of like work the hours, know your stuff, and then that's the two things. How
do you continue to develop like within your craft? Are there other opportunities that you're looking for within sales? Like, you know, how do you continue to develop within your role?
Yeah, so when you first start, you're just figuring out how to sell, and then from there on, you start like, you have to sell and keep up your numbers, and then you have to like bring on a team and like manage a team. And so obviously we're Sunrun, so we have people applying all the time. So, but you basically manage a team, and then you've got to create volume of like from recruiting or from your personal sales. And then that's a whole, you're back to ground zero of development, because then you're like dealing with people and their schedules and their family and their emotions. And then like if they had a bad day on the doors and you had a bad day on the doors, and then they call you and they're just like, no, running off about something, you just got to kind of like work from there. So just as you like think you know what you're doing, solar will just slap you back down to zero. So it's a very humbling job all over again.
What are the kind of people that you're looking for, to take on this role, or who are those people that should consider like door-to-door sales?
It's kind of funny. Like, I always look for people who are like, it's hard to get someone to like make a switch if they're super comfortable. Like, if they already have like a good job, even though they could make more with this one, they're not going to leave. But like, I always look like, I like athletes. Athletes always do pretty good when I'm like searching out, like recruiting someone. Number 2, they don't have a choice but to make it. Those are always good. Their back's against the wall. I'm like, hey dude, you have $100 in your bank account. You have to go and work today. Like, you don't have a choice, or you're going to be, in South Fresno doing God knows what with everyone else down there, So, people like, people that can go and hustle, but people who don't have a choice, like those are good people. But the sharper the better. Someone that can like communicate with me without making me feel uncomfortable is probably a first step. But like, usually like for me, when I like try and recruit people, it's like people I want to work with, like people I want to hang out with, So like a lot of like the best guys I've recruited, there's just guys who I thought were cool, like Bennett, for example, or like Quinn, Oscar, Tito, all these guys. I can go forever. Cody, Keyshawn, I don't want to not say anyone's name. Yeah. Like, hey, these guys are my friends. Like, hey, do you like your job? No, I hate it. I'm like, all right, well, come check this out. Like, all I do is just go to work every day and.
And what's been the impact on some of those guys that you brought into this? Like some of the successes that they've had? Like, can you share a little bit about that? Like,
yeah, I mean, like Tito Rivera is a guy who, have you met, Tito, right? I know Tito. Like, I mean, just the salt of the earth best guy. He owns 2 properties now. He's getting married from moving out here. Like Keyshawn owns 2 houses, has a Tesla, paid off, a baby on the way. He just got promoted to be a manager. Like, people have just changed their lives, or like paid off a ton of debt. They became better people. Like Quinn, he just bought, a huge house here in Fresno. I mean, it's just cool to watch. Like, the stories just like, they just pile on top of each other. Like, whether like paying off debt, stacking up their savings, and then just start investing from there.
Absolutely.
So it's really cool to watch. You watch, like, even though I'm the same, like when you bring, like for Tito, for example, like you brought him out here, he's like a kid. And then now he's literally like a grown man, He's got a house, a wife soon, and then from there on.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
man. So if you're looking for a job or a career change, man, and you have no money, you do have money, but you're looking to develop new skills.
We're no longer hiring.
Man, well, this might be something that is for you, but always keep an open mind when looking for new opportunities that can make you money. Like, definitely go into it open-minded with a fresh set of ears and optimistic about how that can change your life, because there has been people that that has done wonders for, and we're hearing stories about it now.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's take a turn. Can you talk about someone you value and why? It could be a mentor, but I just want to talk about the impact that they've had on you.
I have like unlimited mentors, because like the cool thing about Sunrun is like everyone, I mean, the guys that I'm just able to like touch shoulders with, that like on a day-to-day basis, like Castle for sure, but like you've got like Devin Arp, who's got like 30 something rent homes. Like, I'm basically talking to, like all these like self-made millionaires that I'm able to talk to just to like pick their brains and ask questions. Like my dad for sure, my parents, like they're obviously good mentors. And then from there on, like just being in the same room as some of these guys who have been doing this for 10 to 15 years, it's just been like a complete game changer. Like if you were to work at like some other company and it's some slapdick guy who's never sold solar, like what are you going to learn from him? Or if he's never done the things he's asking you to do, like it's really hard to respect a leader like that. And so all of like the people who are my managers and stuff, including like Dave and Taylor, like my new ones, and I could name 50 guys if you wanted me to. All those guys, just being able to take like little nuggets from them and then like putting them into like how I think and how I work. I mean, it's been completely game changing. Like if I worked at any other company, it would never have worked out. For one, most of those guys have gone out of business and they're working with us anyway. Or two, they're being like super unethical and shady when it comes to like actually selling solar, and it's like they're like, what makes it hard?
Yeah, I feel like no one really covers that topic when it comes to sales, especially door to door or any kind of sales. How do you continue to promote doing good business when going door to door? There is so much competition out there. How do you continue to stack yourself above the competition by being ethical?
I mean, like what's done in the dark like will always come to light for sure, and like that's the thing we deal with, like with super small companies, like cutting margins and just trying to get the most out of every deal, whether it's like a language barrier thing that they don't have contracts in that language.
Why is that bad for the industry?
Yeah, I mean, people get pissed off about it, and then the word of mouth, and then solar's a scam and whatever.
Absolutely.
Even though it's like an actual like problem or whatever, if it is or not, I don't, it doesn't matter to me. But it does save people money, and so like it just puts a bad taste in people's mouth. If your door, like if someone's listening to this in Fresno, like, dude, I've had 50 people knock on my door, and they're like misinterpreting, they don't have licenses, stuff like that. But like, no matter like what industry you're in, like you just always have to like come back to like your principles and like the roots of it. I was actually talking this about someone. They're like, oh, like, yeah, he's super shady, but he's a really good guy. I'm like, well, like a super shady salesman, but a really good guy. I'm like, you can't like, there's no switch like on and off. Like if you're a bad person, you're a bad person. Yeah. If you're going to screw people over in work, then you're going to screw people over
in real life.
In real life. So what's like real life or whatever. So
did they get how that couldn't be possible? A really good salesman?
They were just thinking out loud. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like you don't just like put on a mask when it comes to like sales. It's like, and people really buy you on the product. Like if you work for like a good company who has warranties and like, you're actually like helping people, because there's a ton of people in the valley who need help when it comes to paying their bills, like tons. Like there's like people who stay up till 10 p.m. to wash their laundry. So that way they don't have to get charged like the highest surge charge. Yeah, the surge charge from 4 to 9. And so you knock on someone's house and you're like, hey, well, I can get this, cheaper payment 24/7. That's rewarding in itself, like helping families for sure. But yeah, I mean,
Can you go from being one of those people who may, like, a lot of the times when people are shady salesmen, it's so much a part of kind of who they are that they can't really tell. Yeah. But is it possible to kind of change that? Like,
of course.
Yeah, okay, cool.
A lot of it is just like the insecurity of them like not being good at the job, and so they feel like they have to like lie about the product. So like and that's probably the biggest thing. It's like I heard of someone, this is like a weird analogy, I'm not gonna say that, never mind. But basically it's like they don't trust their skills enough, so that way they're like lying, or they know they're not going to be in the industry because they can't hang, and so they're just trying to get like the quickest dollar as fast as possible, versus like building good relationships and having like a long-term relationship with these customers. Now, like obviously it's sales and it's home improvement, like stuff happens, you know what I mean? And so from there on, you just got to be with your customer. So,
absolutely.
Like obviously like stuff happens. Like I've had people misunderstand me that I have to go back after install and like re-explain, because they got caught up in the hype and they were excited when we were talking about everything.
Yeah, so. But even your willingness to go back and clear that up, it states your professionalism as well.
Yeah, I mean, you get busy when you have like a ton of customers and like a big team, so sometimes it takes longer than it should. But still, have just being able to go back, because this is these people's house. A lot of them have worked super hard and years to be able to do it, and you just have to like still remember that, because when you're knocking, you have to get people to realize you're a person, and so then after they do that, you need to remember that they're a person as well.
Absolutely.
So that's little
powerful.
Yeah, that's someone should put that on a bumper stick. No, I'm just kidding.
Right. Man, Adler.
We got this guy dying laughing over here, man.
Oh, man. So, with all this being said, man, what are some other ways that listeners can get in touch with you, follow you on your journey of solar sales in general, and everything that you have going?
Man, to be honest, I'm low key off the grid on social media and stuff. I don't do.
I've been off the grid for a minute.
I don't do any business on there or do anything like that. My Instagram is me reposting memes. Like, it's stupid. I would say there's really not, like, I'm not going to post, I don't, you know.
So has social media not impacted your business? Like, has it gotten you a solar deal, or has just your work and tenacity is what gotten you those deals? Because a lot of people think that they have to be on social media, they have to have a presence. You closed over 375 deals without posting, hey, I sell solar?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously, like, reposted stuff, like, with the company, like, to help with, like, recruiting and stuff. But, like, a lot of people, I mean, like, for one, like, don't be a douche on, like, social media. Oh, look at me, you know, like, it's just stupid. No one wants to see that. Like, but I mean, like, yeah, I've had some people, like, hit me up, like, on social media, like, hey, I hear you do solar and stuff like that. But I'm probably willing to lose the deal versus than, like, running an entire social media marketing on my thing. Because, like, for me, the best way I get business is doing that versus, like, trying to brag about myself, which I've been guilty of before. Like, I'm not saying I never have, but, like, I think just, like, recently, this past probably, like, year for sure, it's just, like, you know, I'll repost stuff and I'll, like, how many, like, track for installs, like, what I'm at to keep myself accountable. But
how do you continue to humble yourself as you gain more success, more knowledge, more money?
I think the more, like, the more you learn, you realize that you're, like, really far away from like there's guys that have, like, years and years and years of knowledge. So, like, I actually think when you don't know, like, what the heck is going on, that's when you have to, like, almost, like, talk about it, like, create this hype about yourself, which is good, and people can do it, and, like, respect to them. Like, I think it's cool. But, like, when you actually, like, have, like, a grasp of reality, you, like, realize that, like, for one, like, most people don't care. For two, like, you're not Grant Cardone, like, relax, you know. There we go, another laugh, maybe. And then for three, like, it's just, like, just work hard and, like, hustle, and, like, the good things will happen.
Absolutely.
And, like,
hustle,
just,
muscle.
yeah, keep your head down. And I always call it, like, the horse blinders. Keep the horse blinders on when it comes to all that stuff. Okay. Like, outside distractions, they're just gonna, like, mess you up. Focus on, like, the things that it takes, especially once you know, like, what it takes to do. Like, just repeat them. Man,
that's really impressive, and I'm really fortunate for you to be here, connect with my audience, just to learn a little bit more about you.
Dude, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, I think I know everything that you're doing is hard work, is inspiring, and takes not only grit but balls, man, to go out there and knock doors.
God's timing too. I will say divine intervention. I got in at a really good time. I peaked when some other guys had, like, got promoted to, like, other things. So for sure, like, you know, all glory to God with that. When it's coming, it's like a lot of really good timing and stuff that, like, hopefully I keep catching, keep catching these timing and momentum waves for
absolutely
forever,
and I'm a big believer of surrounding yourself around the right people, and I know in my life, surrounding myself around you, we've had some great times together, some great experiences together, for sure. And I look forward to continuing to work our asses off so we're able to have more of those good times and appreciate those moments, being in the moment. Definitely, man.
For sure.
So thank you for being here. Is there anything else that you like to add?
Oh, I would like to say my celebrity man crushes.
Oh, yeah.
That's very...
Adler he wanted to announce his celebrity man crushes.
I did. Number one, starting... Well, let's hear yours first, actually.
Number one? Number one, Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
For sure. Michael B. Jordan.
Fair.
Because Michael B. Jordan works out a lot, looks good, black man, tall. I'll even say Kevin Hart, number two. Man, Kevin Hart.
You have a type.
Yeah, I got a type. Kevin Hart reminds me a little bit of myself. He's short. He's black. He's a black man, and he's a little bit funny, just kind of like myself.
Okay, that's fair.
And then a weird one.
Please don't say another short black guy.
No. Okay. He is black. He is black. Well, I don't have any white crushes. I'm sorry. I just can't relate. Morris Chestnut. Bald head. It's kind of how I envision myself as
Morris
like
Chestnut.
You don't know what Morris Chestnut is? I'm gonna have to put you on Morris Chestnut. Bald head, goatee. I feel like if I was older, I'd hope to look like Morris Chestnut. That's who are your celebrity crushes?
Number 1 is Brad Pitt from Troy.
Oh, shoot. Brad Pitt from Troy? Yeah, he used to have the long hair.
Yeah, long hair. Okay. Number 2, Nate Diaz.
Oh, okay, 209 guy.
Yeah,
209 guy.
I'm a big Nate Diaz guy. And then number 3, Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds is from Modesto.
No crap.
I'm pretty sure he's from Modesto, right? Am I getting this wrong? Ryan Reynolds, are you from Modesto?
I have a NorCal crush.
Yeah, no wonder why you and I are such good friends.
Seriously. Man. Thank God I'm not short and black, though.
Yeah. You know? Okay, no, I'm not even going to comment. But I really appreciate you being here, man. I enjoy your time. Go out there, continue to kick ass, continue to inspire young men and women from Arkansas, Georgia, California, and go get that money, man.
Yes, sir.
Hell yeah.
Appreciate you, bro.